I haven't read, you guys, anything out of this book, I realize. I don't think I have. I'm pretty sure I haven't. So we're going to do that. I'm going to share a little bit about the Champion's Lord. In case you're not familiar with this book, this is one of my male romances under V.C. Willis. And this is the prequel. It's like 150 years prior to events in The Princess Priest, which is part of the Trebon family saga. Princess Priest is Dante's ascension sort of arc, but this is the fall of Ashton, right? Because he's MIA when we join John and Dante, who are more cinnamon roll and sweet and tender relationship. Not for Ashton. This is toxic relationship 101. Ashton is very promiscuous. He's very blunt and upfront. He's self-loathing. Did I say narcissistic? He's narcissistic. But so is Raphael on some level. And they see that in each other. They get weirdly jealous at times of each other for it. And then they get very attracted to one another because of it. So that was a very fun dynamic to write. But I'm going to read a little bit. And this scene is to give you sort of a backstory understanding a little bit. Is Ashton's the son of a clan chief. He's next in line to take over a clan. And these clans met at a huge chateau in Captiva City where they conducted business and often stayed for days, weeks at a time trying to sort out Grandmere's issues and policies and politics and things like that, right? Now the nobles from the old continent have completely taken over and are now using it for their own purposes. And this is the moment where they're a little unnerved, right? Because now they're having to stay a couple of days to work things out because Raphael has come. And Raphael, to the old continent noble houses that are hijinxed Grandmere's government and everything, is the heir apparent to the emperor that they sworn an oath to. So he comes in and he could easily say, I'm taking over, we're going back to an empire setup. But instead, because he's not like he has an army to back him, he's like, hey, I'm signing a contract with that last clan that you have not found anyone to procure them, because that's how it's sort of like an enslavement contract, that these noble houses have enslaved the prior clans and then have most of the clan chiefs who seemed apparent. They definitely want to Dante and Ashton's father, but they're keeping him hidden and safe as he basically runs some background stuff for Raphael and Ashton. So this is that moment. They're staying in the chateau. Ashton hasn't stayed here since before all of this has happened. And they have purposely placed them in front of a particular room, and shenanigans ensue. So this is sort of that moment of, and everything's in Ashton's POV, so you get a good vibe of how promiscuous and how brash he can be at times. Alright. The servant stopped in front of a door, and my heart caught in my throat. This was my room I had always stayed in. I mean, this is my room. Did they do this intentionally? They opened the door, and nothing had changed in the layout and presentation. Of course not, I reasoned. Most of these rooms were fitting of a king. These petty men would enjoy such luxurious displays of wealth. Granted, it was to show how well off Grandmere was, and not one man's own vanity. I slid my gaze to Raphael as I followed him in. The door shut, and I took a step back to lock it in our wake. I wonder, will I be able to break that wall down tonight in a place I dominated so many others? Raphael spun, arching a brow as he followed me with his gaze as I marched through the room. Twisting a carved statue of the devoted sister, something clicked elsewhere in the room. His eyes widened, and I motioned for him to remain quiet. Tugging on a bookshelf, it swung open. Raphael leaned to see what it held. Tugging another switch, I turned toward that sound. A smirk crossed my face as Raphael's eyes chased me around the room. I have his full attention. The bookshelf had hidden and kept safe an assortment of toys and oils. Hinted, wink, wink. Nothing out of order since my last sexual conquest during my last gathering. Next, I tapped my foot on a wood panel beside the head of the bed, and it opened as well. Inside was an empty, hidden corridor, and I sighed relief. Okay, it's safe to speak. I grabbed the lantern, lighting it to kneel just inside. The sand is still intact here, so no one's come through here or has discovered the hidden corridor since I last used it. End of that? Raphael pointed, tapping his lips as he continued to be more enthralled with the lustful stash. Shutting the wooden panel, I drawled untouched, much to my disappointment. I aimed to close it, but Raphael slapped a hand on my chest before I could walk across the room. Leave it open. I wish to pry. He marched forward, picking up various bottles and inspecting them, smiling on occasion as a look of recognition crossed his face. You really have a way of giving in to lust, don't you, my wolf? This isn't a cheap collection. You have all the high-end novelties here at your disposal. Turning back, I set the lantern back on its table and flopped into the chair. Am I wrong to assume that contract is no good since I'm not germane? It's worthless, he announced. They're referring to something they signed in the council room a few minutes ago. You now owe Henri a favor since we were both certain Winston can't tell one daemon from another. Such a clueless twat. Now, what of this even and equals nonsense? I sat with my legs gaped open and completely in my element once more. Wouldn't it be more advantageous to use your emperor's blood to be at least speaker of the house? There was no point in fighting on the matter. I need them to want to support me, Winston and Ahmed, in order to overpower Cruza. Raphael bent over to reach for something on a lower shelf. This single decision opened more doors than closed. It's not like I could do anything as a prince of a now-dead empire. Licking a fang, I tilted my head to enjoy how the coat's tail split to give me a peek of his ass. Madeline may have put a nail in that coffin today. How so? Raphael stood, and I snapped my eyes onto the back of his shoulders, unable to see what he had in his hands. She wants Cruz and the others to use their new daemon slaves to fight. Winner gets the seat of Speaker of House. I leaned, curious about which of the toys he held now. Doesn't that put her and her clan in harm's way? Raphael glared over his shoulder at my words, and I sighed. I told you. That one wants blood just for the fun of watching someone die, I sneered. Good job on splitting her and her brother apart. Raphael rummaged through the shelves again. You went in bold, and it worked, though it took till the end for Ahmed to act on it. Philippe has been decades for a chance to do so. I shifted in my chair, the visual of Raphael playing with all my toys and oils. And I'm gonna end there because, as you see, the color of my face has shifted, and I realize this gets very dirty very fast. But that shows how they stroke each other's egos quite a bit, and then they're like, let's have fun. But yeah, that is a little bit of the personalities, right? You get this sense of regalness from Raphael and in the bluntness of Ashton. And it was a lot of fun, because they're both very playful at times with each other, and it surprises you at times, I think. But the story and the world building has been fun, because I think out of all the things I've written to date, this one has the most political royal intrigue sort of unfolding. We actually get to go into banquets and council rooms more often in this book than any book I've written. And it was kind of fun to explore that aspect of this world I have built so far. And trust me, the world building for Trebon Family Saga in general has been massive. I'm creating lore and history. I'm having to track major events and give them titles like you do in our world, right? So it has been an absolute adventure and a challenge, and I hope you guys enjoy the stories that come out of it. So again, if it's November 8th or later, this book is available where books are sold. If you want a signed copy, head on over to willisauthor.com, and you can always find my events and find me in person where those are listed. So, thanks everyone.